Okay. All right. Live. Facebook Live. I'm going to Instagram Live going in a minute here. About to get started. I know we're a little bit late tonight. I'm going to Instagram on too. Okay. We are live on Instagram as well. I know we're a little bit late tonight and last minute didn't promote this in advance. Sorry, got behind a bit today, but I still wanted to make sure we shot a live video today so that it's a little bit late for the young ones, but you can still watch it on the replay. And if you have questions or comments, we got some people joining us on Instagram, which is great. If you have questions or comments, even if you're watching it on the replay, feel free to type them in, and we can get back and answer them on a future live or just directly in the comments as well. Okay, let's see here. I'm just trying to make sure we're all set up. I'm started. We got fan-ins on. Great. We got a bunch of you guys. Adrian, Dran, awesome. On Instagram, we got a bunch of people watching on Instagram. Facebook is just getting going. Just going to get into it in 1 minute. I want to make sure, like I said, it's a little bit late. And not a ton of notice, but this will be recorded and posted on YouTube, our email blast, and also, of course, on the Facebook page. But I wanted to make sure I did a training today for you guys. Isaac is on. All right. Hey, Isaac. So I want to make sure that as we all know, everyone's stuck at home, and hockey's going to be back soon. But we're going to come back. We talk a lot about on our emails and our lives. You guys have been sharing all your trainings at home, which is incredible. To be honest, we can't even keep up with it. I didn't expect that we're getting 10, 20 videos a day of you guys training at home. And the setups that you guys have at home is unbelievable. I can't believe how many people have nets to shoot and like synthetic ice to stick handle on and shoot off of and rollerblades and stuff. So it's amazing. It shows how much, how passionate you guys are about hockey. And I want to make sure I give you some specific practical tips that you can use while you're training at home to make the most of your time. Because you guys are working really hard, and you're going to come back stronger than ever and stronger than a lot of players that maybe are not putting in the work while they can't get to the rink. But I want to make sure you're not just working hard, you're working smart, and you're making the most of your time training at home. And then you can apply these concepts when you get back to any type of training. So what I want to talk about today is the concept of skill and what it really is. It sounds maybe obvious. I have to be invited to a number of symposiums with world leaders from around the world of sport, USA Hockey staff, but also people from Finland, from other countries, from Sweden, from Germany, who talk about player development and skill acquisition and elite athlete development. I was able to go to the U.S. Olympic Committee and other symposiums. And the reason I say that is because the stuff that I learned there, I grew up my whole life. I played hockey my whole life. I played junior hockey, college hockey. I've coached for, 15 years, 20 years. But the stuff that I learned there, hey, Kai, hey, Steven, good to have you guys on. The stuff that I learned at these symposiums and from some of these world experts who work with the Olympic athletes, with the highest level athletes in the world, I learned stuff about skill acquisition and player development that would change my future as a coach, as a leader, and everything the way that I thought about the game, the way that I thought about training. And so I wanted to share some brief stuff with you here on that. We'll have some speakers and things coming on in the future that will go longer and deeper. I'm not going to go probably too long today, but we'll be able to go really even deeper and bring some more experts and things on in the future. But I wanted to share some things right now without making you guys wait that is going to help you, like I said, maximize your time when you're training at home and shooting pucks and stick handling, things like that. Because if you understand the science of skill acquisition, you'll understand some little tweaks that you can do when you're training that's going to help you get that much better in the game. Because remember, the whole reason why you're going to train at home is not to just get better at shooting off of your synthetic ice or stick handling a tennis ball. It's so you're a better hockey player when it comes to the game, so that you can get those benefits as when it comes to game time. So if you can scoring goals in your garage, that you can come and score goals in the game. And there's a difference between getting good at drills or techniques in the garage than there is to getting good at the game of hockey. Okay, so the first place to start is what skill actually is. And this is an important thing to consider, because what most people think skill is actually technique. So shooting technique is different than the skill of scoring goals or of activating that in a game. Stick handling technique is different than the skill of beating a defender and getting by a defender, which is actually, the goal of stick handling work is to be able to be deceptive and beat a defender, or just fool a goaltender and score a goal and get a result. Okay, so it's really important to understand the difference of skill and technique. Now, it's important. Technique is important, and it's important to work on your technique. So it's important to be able to take a proper wrist shot. It's important to be able to handle the puck or the ball in your forehand and backhand. But your technique only gets you to a certain level, and most players, if you're playing hockey at the competitive level, have a certain level, a minimum level of technique. And once you reach that minimum level of technique, you're able to make a forehand pass. You're able to take a shot, a wrist shot. You're able to do some of those basic things, make a backhand pass, stick handle back and forth narrow, and stick handle back and forth wide. Once you're able to do that technique, practicing just that technique over and over again is not going to get you much more result. What's going to get you more result is turning that technique into skill. And the difference between skill and technique is that technique is it's a doing. So it's taking the shot, it's making the stick handle. And sorry guys, I'm just making sure I have Facebook on here so I can see any comments. And sorry, the volume went up. So this technique is the do, but the actual skill. So for example, scoring a goal or making the right selection of the shot, or beating the defender, the skill is read, plan, do. Okay, it's not just do. So I'm going to type this stuff in. Technique is do. Skill equals read, plan, do. So what does that mean? That means that the actual skill of scoring a goal is not just that you can shoot it into the top corner when you're like I said, you're sitting in your driveway or in your garage and you might be able to shoot into the top corner 10 times in a row. It doesn't mean that in the game you can come in and score in the top corner. And then you've probably seen that. You've probably done that where you can do that at home, or you can do that in a practice, or in on a stick time or something. But then in the game you miss your shot, and you miss. So the actual skill is being able to perform the technique at speed, under pressure, choosing the right response, so making the right decision. So the top corner was open, or the goalie was standing right there and you just shot it there because you didn't choose the right response. You weren't able to process what was open, and doing it at the right time. So you've probably noticed before where you've taken a shot or something, but you were just a little bit late on it, or you're a little bit early on it. So performing the technique at speed, so at your full, in the speed of the game, under pressure with someone trying to do something, and you have to plan for that, and then choosing the right thing to do. So pulling it around them to the left versus the right, or whatever, and then doing it at the right moment. That's the actual skill. So if you think about the concept in the science, it talks about transfer. So there's something that they also talk about called false fundamentals. So transfer is actually what you're doing, how much of what you're practicing actually transfers to the game. So again, it doesn't really do you much good if you're just going to get better at shooting in your garage. I mean, that might feel good in the moment, but if it's not going to transfer to the game, what's the point of all those hours? The point of what you're doing is so that it transfers to the game. Okay, so we want to see how much of what we're doing transfers. Ideally, we want the majority of as much as possible of what we're doing to transfer to the game, because otherwise we don't want to waste our time and spend extra effort doing things that aren't going to transfer into the game, right? So what can we do to make sure that the things that we're doing and practicing actually translate and transfer into the game? And the answer to that is, like I said, you can get to a various level of technique. So you want to practice something until you can get comfortable with the technique. You can handle the puck on your forehand and backhand of the ball. You can reach wide on both sides, outside your body on both sides. You can take a proper wrist shot. You can take a snapshot. You may practice the technique of a slap shot for a while first, so you get down the technique. And once you get to that level of technique, we have to now apply it in a situation that can be transferable to a game. And again, the difference is technique is just the do. And once you get that, you have to apply it as a skill, which is read, plan, do. So how can you practice that and make it game applicable your training, right? So we want to make it as much like the game as possible. So some basic things. If you're training at home, do you have a pair of rollerblades? Can you put on a pair of skates? If you don't have a pair of rollerblades, when you're skating with skate guards, so you're actually on skates while you're doing it. It doesn't mean it's better to do it than not do anything if you don't have your skates. But can you wear your skates while you're doing it? That's a simple tip. Hey, Coach Paul's joining. Hey, buddy, how you doing? We got Louis Macias on too. Debbie Klausmeier. Awesome to have you guys. How else can you make it realistic? So if you're on your skates, can you use a stick that is the same length as your stick in the game, right? So that it's as similar as possible. So when you get to the game, it's transfer. So now you're on your skates with the same level stick. Can you use a stick that has a similar curve? Can you use a stick that has a similar lie? If you're going to be practicing hours and hours of your shot and stick handling, and then you go to a game and you're using a total different length of stick and things, it doesn't mean it's not going to be beneficial to get some techniques in, but how can you make it as specific as possible? Now, the next piece of it, right? How can we make it as game applicable? Once you have the technique down, how can you create situations where you're going to read, plan, do, and not just do? So if you just sit there and you take 100 shots in a row, right, to the same exact spot, you're getting good at standing still, doing a predictable thing over and over again. You're not getting good at reading where the goalie is, getting some pressure, making the right selection, and doing it in time. So how can we do that? So in normal situations, if you can be on your rollerblades or whatever and play one-on-one with someone, or even have someone go in goal or whatever, have a goalie in net, awesome. If you can create maybe a shooter tutor or some of these other things to create or some targets and things like that, to create it where you have to make challenging shots, that's a little bit better too. If you actually can play against somebody that is going to like do things that you don't expect, and you're going to have to deceive them and then make the right decision, and then if you don't make a good decision, lose it. That's the best. It's not always possible when you're training at home by yourself, and it's also definitely not possible playing right now unless it's a family member that's your brother is willing to play with you, or your dad or your mom or whatever, which is great. If you can do that, do it as much as possible, because you can then work on to your technique on your own a little bit, and then work against someone and play one-on-one with them and make moves on. We saw a video today on the USA Hockey presentation. We were on their webinar, and Bill Beanie was showing Gretzky playing up, and he was outside of the pond playing all the time, but a lot of times it was against a parent or brother or a grandma, even shooting against grandma in the living room. It was against an opponent, which also makes it fun. So that's ideal. If you're by yourself and you don't have an opponent, how can you get creative and make it as game applicable as possible? I talked about some things about as far as wearing skates, having the similar stick, making it challenging with the net, with the goal by putting targets or putting a shooter tutor, or Coach Paul did a build your own goalie thing, make a goalie so you can make it more challenging. And then how do we make it more random? So meaning that you don't just know what's going to happen every single time. Like I said, you don't just shoot to the same spot 100 times in a row. So what are some ways? So if you have someone that can help you, even if they're not going to play against you, you could have a family member call out a corner or something. If you're shooting, for example, you could have them call out top corner, top right, and then you have to shoot bottom left. You have to shoot it there. You have to immediately make the decision. You have to hear it and then make that decision. So that can make it significantly better. You could notice how much harder and more challenging it gets to hit your shot when you don't know what's coming. Okay, similarly, you could have someone hold up like a different color or something like that, or a number, and then you have to do something based on that. you could be stick handling and they could be holding up a number, 1, 2, 3. You have to call out the number. Now your brain's thinking you're having to make some kind of a read. Okay. Similarly, you could have them call out something to make a certain move. So maybe you're going to make a forehand to backhand fake pull or a backhand to forehand pull, and depending on what they call out or what they do, then you have to make that move immediately. You can't think about it. You have to immediately do that, and you have to select the appropriate response. You can make it more and more complicated. Maybe you have 4 different moves you can do, depending on if they say 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you make whatever one you have to quickly make that move. And if you don't do it, you lose a point. And if you do it, you get a point, for example. Mindy says she sees Nerf gun training in the near future. Great. Yeah, that could be. There's all kinds of creative ways to do it. Paul says attack homemade defenders in motion and execute different stick handle or shots. Work on collecting random ball off the walls, etc. Yeah, so that's another good one. You can throw the ball off the wall and depending on where it lands, so it could land on different places, but also creating different types of things to attack that are different, like an attack triangle and then a cone and then a tire or something, like with different creations that you have to do. You run through it with speed, and you have to do different moves to get through it. Could be a great way to do it. Some other ones that I was going to say is when even let's say you have no one to help you out too. So what Coach Paul just brought up would be some good examples of like creating almost a course that you have to kind of go through at speed, and you have to kind of get creative as you go through the different obstacles, like almost like a little mini obstacle course, and you have to kind of make moves to get through it, not lose the ball or the puck, and to get through the other side maybe as fast as you can. Some other things though are, you could, let's say you're just shooting on the net rather than, again, just shooting to the same place every time. You could select a response based on the result of your shot, meaning you don't know for sure if you're going to make the shot or not. So let's say you're going to go top right first. If you make it, maybe that means immediately you need to shoot there again, or you need to shoot 5-hole. And then if you miss it, maybe it means you have to shoot top left or something. So for example, depending on what happens, and you make yourself immediately do it. So depending on what happens, you don't know what's going to happen for sure. You have to select some immediate response. So now you're practicing reading, and you're challenging yourself to have to think, and your brain to have to make connections to something that happens in my environment, and then I have to make a response immediately. You're going to find it's way harder to hit your shots or to make your moves. It's the same thing with like some different fake moves. You're going to find it way harder to be able to execute it than just standing there doing it over and over again, which is going to be, like I said, maybe harder or frustrating at first, but that's what's going to actually apply to the game. Something else, so a final tip, and then I'll wrap up here. And we'll take, like I said, if you're watching the replay, things, pipe in your questions, things that you want answered in the future, we'll get to it. If you're by yourself, again, great thing, we've talked about this before, watch video. Watch some video. YouTube and everything these days is incredible. Pick some amazing players, whether it's Ovechkin or Crosby or Connor McDavid or a goaltender, similar thing, and watch their moves, whether it's scoring on a goalie or beating a defender, and then kind of burn them into your memory and visualize that, even if you're just shooting on empty and are making moves, stick handling, because it's different to just be stick handling than it is to be seeing that defender, that McDavid makes the fake, the defender leans, and then you make the full pull back to beat the defender, versus just going through the motions and actually seeing in your mind, I got to fool him. I got to really fool him. I got to fake hard. And then I got to pull all the way across immediately, and I'm going to do it just like McDavid did, and I'm going to visualize in my mind that defender happening. Your brain is working much harder than just kind of getting your reps in. It's one thing to get reps. It's great to get a lot of reps. That's better than not doing it, for sure. But if you can get quality reps, meaning that you're actually you're connecting things in your brain to what a defender or a goaltender is going to do. It's the same thing with a shot. Instead of just shooting in the top corner, you watch Crosby drop his shoulder and make the goalie bite and then go up. Or before just shooting backhand, fake, pull backhand and right up immediately, and visualize you're making the goalie make the move, and then you're scoring. You're making the goalie open up, and then you're going 5-0 instead of just shooting there. So really watching those videos, you can even have those videos up on your iPad right there, playing in front of you, and then really seeing it and practicing those moves. So some big tips there, guys. Really important ones. They'll take your training to another level. Paul has another one. He says, fun one. Turn lights off or at night. Have a parent stand behind you and flash a flashlight at a corner and shoot quickly. Yeah, so there's some great stuff out there now that has like a random lights will light up in different spots and you can shoot for it. There's like, some pretty expensive equipment and stuff you can get for that. Same thing with stick handling and different lights lit up and you have to move to it. That's really cool because it's actually creates that random situation. But Paul had to go over, right? If you just have a brother or a parent have a flashlight and point it, that could be a cool way to do it too. Again, you have to meet that immediate response. Hey, Victor, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, guys. We've had a lot of people joining us late because I didn't get a chance to put this on and promote it in advance. We had a lot of people join us late through Facebook and Instagram. So thank you so much for joining, guys. Go back and watch the replay. Let me know questions or comments. We'll have this out in our email as well, and we'll go deeper into this further. But I want to make sure, like I said, we've been floored by the amount of people training at home and sharing their videos with us, which is awesome. And keep sharing that with us. Maybe you can share with me now some of the things that you're doing to change up your training a little bit to make it more transferable to the game, more random, more read, plan, do. Okay, and we'll go deeper into this in the future. We're doing lives Monday to Friday. So next, now that we're getting in a roll, we kind of figured out the technology and stuff, we're going to get into a better rhythm. I'm going to start scheduling them out so you're going to see them in advance on our Facebook page scheduled. Next week, we have an awesome lineup, and you're going to see it scheduled on Facebook. We already have Coach Tomas confirmed for Monday. He's going to be talking about navigating through junior hockey. A lot of guys have goals of playing junior hockey. Tomas is a scout in the NAHL, the USHL, to the top junior leagues, and an owner in the WSHL. So has a ton of experience to share about navigating junior hockey. We have Tuesday with Coach Paul Esdale, who's a former general manager and head coach in the BCHL, one of the top junior A leagues in the world. That's a Canadian junior A league, about navigating college hockey. Paul played at Brown University and also sent dozens of kids from junior A hockey to collegiate hockey. And we're going to talk a little bit about navigating through college hockey and how to prepare yourself, how to select the pathway, because there's all kinds of different types of college hockey routes to go. We're going to talk about what that looks like and how you can plan for that. Wednesday, we have our goalie coach, Noble, coming on, which would be awesome for you goaltenders. We'll talk about at-home training. We'll talk about goalie technique and things like that. And Thursday, we have our director of player development, Coach Darren Berezowski, on keys to becoming an elite skater. Part 2, we had a great response on part 1, and a lot of people are asking about going deeper into that. So we're going to do that on Thursday, and I'm working on Friday. I will let you guys know what's going on Friday. So make sure you respond to those posts so you put it in your calendar. Hope to see you guys on there with your questions and comments. And hope to see you guys continue to train. Even if you've shared with us your training videos before, keep sharing them with us. And we can't wait to be back with you guys. We love you guys. We miss you guys. We want to be back on the ice with you guys. We want to make sure we give you everything you need and more to come back stronger, better than ever, so we can kill it next year, next season at the Junior Reign, and even anyone else that's watching in the hockey community from other clubs or in-house or wherever that's shut down right now. We want to give you guys as much advice as we can to keep the love of hockey going and to keep working on your game and keep that passion alive. So thank you so much, guys. Awesome. Thanks, Adrian. I'm glad it helped. Victor, you're resting and washing your hands. That's good. Make sure you're training too. Don't get out of shape. Keep working out and get in the gym and get working out at home and get stick handling and shooting. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks so much, everybody. All right, train soon. Start training now, Victor. Do some push-ups and sit-ups now. Don't wait. Best time to start training is yesterday, so get going. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon.